folks, there's been a little bit of information that's been circulating the interwebs recently in regard to Donald J. Trump's tax plan for when he enters office. Now, this tax plan has been available since October of 2024, aka before the election. Okay, just keep this in mind, that if you were interested in researching the impacts of Donald Trump's tax plan, you could have done that at least a month before the election. Okay, so the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy, that describes himself as a nonprofit, nonpartisan tax policy organization. They conducted a rigorous analysis of the tax and economic proposals provided by Donald Trump. Okay? And let me just give you a quick summary. We're going to get into the actual details of what they said is going to be the impacts of Donald Trump's plan in 2026. But let's just listen to the quick overview. They, after collecting all this data, crunching the numeros, okay, this is what they concluded. Quote, taken together, President Donald Trump's tax policies would, on average, lead to a tax cut for the richest 5% of Americans and a tax increase for all other income groups. I'm laughing because it's better to laugh than to cry. I'm laughing because of the absurdity of this. Okay, guys? So that's what they walked away with after crunching the numbers of Donald Trump's tax plan, which these are the numbers of how they will impact people in 2026. So literally blink your eyes. Blink your eyes. The most jarring, I would say, data that came from this report, and I'm going to post this and I'm going to, put this up on the screen for those who can't see it, was them breaking down the average tax change by income groups in 2026. So it's a bar graph here, and we can see from the poorest 20% to the second poorest 20%, all the way up to the richest 4% and the richest 1%, aka the richest 5%. Okay. So according to their assessment, the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy says that based on Trump's proposals for tax cuts, the poorest 20%, which is anybody making $0 to $28,600, okay? So if you're making $28,000 or less, you're going to get a $790 increase in what you're going to be paying in 2026. If you are in the second 20%, I mean, I don't want to laugh because I don't want to make it seem like this is not serious, but I mean, I'm really, it's just so freaking absurd. I'm just like, this was available before the election, but I digress. In the second 20%, $28,600 to $55,100. If you're in that range, you're going to be paying an extra $1,430 in 2026 because of Trump's proposals. If you're in the middle 20%, $55,000 to $94,100, you're going to be paying an extra $1,530 a year. If you are in the Fourth 20%, $94,100 to $157,500, you're going to be paying an extra $1,790 a year. And if you're in the next 15%, $157,000 to $360,000, y'all are going to be paying an extra $610 a year. The next 4%, okay? This is the bottom 4% of the top 5% earners, okay? That group is $360,000 a year to $914,900 a year. So the almost millionaires, the half millionaires to the almost millionaires, they're going to be saving $7,000, $7,160 a year. If you're making over $360,000 up to $914,000 and you're going to be saving $7,000 a year based on Trump's proposals. And finally, the richest 1%, the one of us, the group of us who can handle the most in taxes, they're going to be, oh, and by the way, that's anybody over $914,000 and $900. So anybody making over, basically the millionaires, baby, and the billionaires, because it's anything over. They're going to save $36,000. $36,320, guys. Remember, this information was available a month before the election. Immediately, what one of the things that jumps out to me is the fact that even among the bottom 95% of earners, even among the bottom 95% of earners, the highest earners out of that bottom 95%, the people making $157,000 to $360,000 are still, even though they are getting an increase, their increase is still less than the poorest 20% of our country. I mean, if that don't tell you what the hell time it is, I don't know what does. I don't know what will. Of all the people who are getting their taxes increased, who are going to end up paying more money at the end of the year, the ones who make the most are still paying the least in the increase. And they have the nerve to be paying less than the poorest 20% in terms of an increase. And let's be freaking real, guys. $790 extra a year will be felt by people who make less than $28,000 a year.